almost as if you learned a lesson from your son when he asked you or told you, Mom, you're not going to get on food stamps, you're not going to apply for food stamps. That was the moment you had an epiphany and you changed things. A lot of people, including myself, I'm wondering, when you speak of people losing their homes throughout that 2007, 2009 recession, you say that you were able to build a home in 2009 when people were losing their homes.
Right.
Obviously, you needed some sort of cash flow. What advice do you have for people to make that happen, to pivot where they are and take a hold of opportunity?
Right. So in my book, it talks about taking control of your income. Because I could have just sat back on my job where I was just check to check, but I realized that it wasn't enough money, and my son was in the back seat. We're poor, and I was making $40,000 a year. So long story short, I got an email that said if I got my insurance license, I could make $70,000 a year. I'm like, well, that's almost double what I'm making right now. So I decided to get my insurance license. So even though I was insurance dumb, like I never understood insurance. I was like, well, I'll figure it out for $70,000 a year. And little did I know that I could make over $100,000 a year. And that's how I built my house. And one more thing, just because you qualify for a $300,000, $400,000 house doesn't mean you should get it. So around 2008, 8.5 or whatever, my mom, I was telling her that I was going to get a $400,000 house, right? And my mom's like, child, what about if things aren't going so well? I'm like, Mom, you're right. So I waited. And so a neighborhood that I was looking at for about a year, the prices went from like 380,000 or whatever to the high 100,000s. So the prices went down by $200,000. And so that's when I was like, now it's time to buy. So now to this day, I have more land than anyone else in my neighborhood. We can play football games in my yard, whereas everyone else has a piece of yard. But to answer your question, I took control of my income. And so in my book,
and it all starts with patience and baby steps.
Right. I worked very hard. It took me a few months to start making money, but I didn't quit. Another lady that also got her license at the same time, she quit, and she lost her her apartment and custody of her 2 sons. And I had 2 sons too. And I didn't lose my 2 sons. We continued to thrive. But in my book, I talk about other ways that you can make money. Like if you're good at doing hair, or if you're good at fixing stuff. Handymen make a lot of money. So use your talents. Like I just wrote this best-selling book using my talents during social distancing. So I highly recommend while you're just sitting at home, learn how to use your talents.
I love that, Miss LaFaye. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We'll post this interview on our website, news4jax.com, so people